temps, il est super. Un coup de piste et un coup.
656.
Cette idée, parce qu'on est passé une Biathlon.
C'est le cas. Et de là parce que on n'est pas en seul, mais on va devenir l'avion, on va être en plus d'une dizaine forcément. Et on a Anna surtout qui est partie dans les.
Installés dans le top 10 du général de la Coupe du Monde parce que mine de rien, Fred, on entame aujourd'hui le deuxième.
C'est l'homme qui a
aujourd'hui. C'est ça, il connaît ses dimensions. On a vu un avion tout à l'heure dans le public, les gens qui l'ont pas oublié.
C'est une image qui devrait faire le tour du monde, donc il faut vraiment sur vous pour déployer. On n'a plus de parapluie, c'est parfait. Et attention.
Back to Le Grand Bonnard for the final day of racing here in the stunning Haute-Savoie department. We have just had a brilliant rendition of the national anthem. The crowd in the grandstand here for the final day holding up the tricolour, and a really impressive start already to the day. We have 5 laps of the 3-kilometre course for a start list of 30 athletes made up of 20 from the world, or 25 from the world rankings, and the next 5 best athletes from the point standings from this stop of the World Cup. And it is, of course, a 15-kilometre mass start today. Alongside myself, Ellard is former Team USA biathlete Chad Salmela. The last day of racing before the Christmas break for our athletes. And Chad, the conditions, well, they're not what we would want as we prepare to bid farewell to Le Grand Bonnard for another year.
About as uncomfortable of a quote-unquote winter day as you can get. You can see downpouring rain, but I think the number one thing we're seeing is that we have seen wind since the zero stop. The athletes shot in almost calm conditions, and the wind has gusted at times that would take the bullet right out of the black into the white from the prone position. We haven't seen it since, but we've seen some gusts. We're going to keep our eye on it, but it could make things very interesting today.
It came out of nowhere about 15 minutes ago, just as the athletes were finishing zero. We think maybe just Estrella was the only to zero in those conditions. The flags behind the range taking a battering, as are, of course, the red flags within it. We can take a look at the start list. It's Johannes Tingersberg, of course, wearing the yellow bib. And Chad, Johannes Tingersberg, win 88 today, a potential for 89.
Yeah, that gold number of 95 that Olander Bjørndalen is still in play for this season. He's not winning at a rate that makes it a sure thing, but he looks like his old self again, dominating the pursuit yesterday. So his chance of winning again today, very, very high.
And the other of the Bow brothers is back as well. Talia Bow is back after not competing in the first 2 events this week. How important for him at the end of this first trimester of racing will a big result, a statement result, be for him?
I think it's more about Talia Bow just feeling confident that his health is intact. You're going into a big break here. He sat out the last 2 races. We'll see if he bounces back. It's a very good sign. If he doesn't, it might be a tough blow for him. They might have to go with somebody younger and bring him up at the new year with somebody from the IBU Cup. So a little bit of pressure on Talia today, to be honest with you.
The crowd packing into the grandstand once again, but all wearing coats and ponchos. And there is a man who is celebrating today, Fabien Claude, his 30th birthday, wearing bib number 8, as we see the athletes start to make their way out to the start line for this mass start. And we saw plenty as well, Chad, adjusting their baskets, taking the option for larger baskets owing to the conditions.
Yeah, when the rain saturates the snow the way it did this morning, the baskets where the tips hit the snow, it's normally very hard, almost like, a little bit, it's softer than pavement, but it's pavement-like. Well, when the rain saturates that snow, these poles start to sink. You can see the yellow baskets that we saw Amelia and Jacqueline actually change. They grow a little, probably about a centimeter further in diameter, just to be able to stay on top of the snow and not punch through.
So Johannes Tingersbo in the yellow bib. Dominant performance in the pursuit. Next to him, Stella Holmberg. All of his races, he's finished in the top 10 this season, only once not in a flower ceremony, and that was 9th in the sprint in Contiolate. Alongside him, Amelia Jacqueline, mass start winner here in the 21-22 season, that famous mass start. Brilliant day for the French athletes as Quentin Fillon-Maillet took 2nd, and it was Talia Bow who was part of that famous picture, kneeling down in front of them, holding the tricolour.
And there's a man, Quentin Fillon-Maillet, starting bib 9, has not done anything really spectacular this season. 1 podium finish for QFM, but he is a mass start master, and let's see if he can pull a rabbit out of the hat for the final day of France here.
Yeah, that podium, of course, in the mass start event in Contiolate. And we have to mention, of course, as well, Ellard Prolo, bib number 4 today in the red bib as the winner of this event in Contiolate, and he is in really good shooting form. Shooting clean yesterday, and well, he'll have his eyes on replicating what he did as we started the season in Finland. We are now here on home snow for him, our final day of action here at Le Grand Bonnard. And we are underway in the 15-kilometre mass start race for the men. The fans, despite the weather, packing out the grandstand and around the course as well, as our 30 athletes start their first of 5 laps, 4 shooting stages. And, well, we should be in for a treat here if the last 4 days have been anything to go by, Chad.
Yeah, and with the weather conditions as they are, the rain, the wind, the changing wind, it just makes for a really exciting setting for this final race of the 2024 calendar year.
Johannes Tingersbo, the, of course, overall score winner last season, looking to go level with Oliana Bluondalen, who we can see just in front of us on the range. He's shielded by an umbrella. He's the range reporter for Norwegian television here, so he's keeping a keen eye on everything as Johannes Tingersbo looks to go 1 step closer to his individual victories record.
Yeah, nobody would probably like to see him break it more than Oliana Bjørnbanen. He's very much invested in the sport. Was the Chinese team coach for 4 seasons going into Beijing. He and his wife Daria Domacheva went over to China and basically created a generation of Olympic biathletes over there.
Interesting to see Campbell Wright in the blue bib make his way quickly up to the front.
And he's locked in a battle for that blue bib with Vitaly Manzin, who's wearing bib 21 today, the 2 youngest athletes on the start orbit.
Out to the far right of your picture. You can see him in the Stars and Stripes, very recognisable kit, the US kit, as he just goes ahead and leads this race now. The yellow bib of Johannes Tingersbo sat in behind him.
This is a very Campbell Wright thing to do. He's very happy-go-lucky, devil-may-care sort of a spirit. Anybody who interacts with Campbell just loves that sort of Kiwi spirit he's got, of like, you know, everything's cool, let's just keep going for it. And I think he feels like there's no reason to dilly-dally, let's just go race everybody.
As we watch the athletes around this first lap, you can see with the raindrops on the cameras just how challenging the conditions are in terms of rain today. Well, we started with rain here in Annecy, and we are ending with rain today. But Campbell Wright leading the way from Johannes Tingersbo, Sebastian Samuelsson, 5 misses yesterday, but still finishing 5th owing to just his exceptional speed on the skis.
But what a statement these French fans have made all week long. It's brutal weather out here, and they're going to be nearly 20,000 people still today. It's amazing testament to how popular French biathlon has become.
Yeah, we were expecting 60,000 through the doors across the 4 days. Exceptional day yesterday in terms of conditions and racing as well. The French athletes putting on a real show, and the fans coming out in their masses to support them.
Not a terribly lot to report in this first lap of racing. Not a lot of analysis, except for the fact that Campbell Wright is leading and sort of forcing the pace.
Yeah, Stella Holm LeGlide just getting tangled there with Emilien Jacquelin, who's found himself about 5 back and trying to make his way up and through the field.
The athletes will shoot on their bib for the first shooting stage. So Wright will go to point number 14. Boo will go to point number 1 in the yellow bib. And then from there on out, they'll load into the stadium based on the place you're in, which is a great thing about the sport. You can come to the shooting mat and you know exactly what place you're in because the number you're shooting on is your placing.
So this next time check that they're coming towards is the 1.5 kilometer mark. And it's Johannes Tingersbo leading one train of athletes and Campbell Wright the other. Emilien Jacquelin coming through in second. Still all very closely grouped together in terms of those that we expect to have good races today.
Yeah, the rain shouldn't slow things down on the course. Actually, rain is quicker than snow. So if the temperature drops and it turns to snow, then expect the skis to slow way down. Right now, relatively fair and even competition while it's wet. Just watching the skis, nobody really creeping up on Johannes Tingersbo on that downhill. So relatively low speed downhill, so you wouldn't really expect that, but there's no drafting advantage. But Boo now comfortably at the front of the field again, setting the pace, but it's not terribly slow because you can see it's starting to spread out the back of the field. So maybe the later starters or the lowest ranked ones are having a little trouble staying on the back of the field there.
Yeah, this is where for the first time we've started to see the field split. And 2 chains of athletes has become one long one before they regroup at the bottom of that downhill. Well, it's interesting listening to some of the discussions amongst the teams over the course of the last 24 hours, debating whether Johannes Tingersbo would take things out hard and fast. He seemed quite happy to let Campbell Wright do his thing for the first kilometre. And now controlling the pack with Emilien Jacquelin tucked in right behind, watching his every move.
Yeah, we saw a new Johannes Tingersbo yesterday in the pursuit, a new one for this season. We're actually seeing the Johannes Tingersbo of old, but he's been, you know, pretty challenged on the ski speed all season long. I think yesterday he put that fear back in everybody's mind about is he beatable again.
We're leading the way in terms of ski speed this season after a slow start to proceedings in Kontiolahti. Really stepped it up in Hopfilzen, but as Chad rightly says, they were still, you felt, reserved performances. He was quite happy to sit in, let other people do the work and then take it on over the last kilometre, whereas what we've seen here in Annecy has been, as Chad rightly said, the Johannes Tingersbo of old.
Freshest man in the field, right in the center of the picture there, bib number 19, his older brother, Tarjei Boo, now 36 years of age. First race this weekend for Tarjei. He's coming into these rough conditions, but he's the least tired of anybody here. We'll see if that pays off for him. Yeah. Shooting number 1.
Third in the mass starts here in 2021-22 and 2019-2020 seasons. So Johannes Tingersbo in the yellow bib pulls up to map number 1. the athletes shooting and their map numbers for this first shoot. Pierre Arma keeping a close eye on the proceedings in terms of the French team. So the graphics just catching up as Johannes Tingesbo goes 3 for 3, as does Emilien Jacquelin. 2 misses for Sebastian Samuelsson. The Björn Sørlum has gone clean. Le Glide is clean. Johannes Tingesbo is clean. Martin Ellard, who really struggled yesterday, clean. Campbell Wright, clean. Now Black, clean. Fabien Claude, not the start to his 30th birthday that he would have wanted. 2 misses. Vitaly Manzin, the Ukrainian, challenging for the blue bib, also clean.
Lots of clean shooting, lots of misses though too, and not a single Frenchman with a clean shoot on the first bout. You can hear it, you can tell, the crowd is dead quiet.
And so Justus Strelo, who is back in very good shooting form, wearing bib number 18, leading out of shooting one. Stella Holm Le Glide 2 seconds behind Johannes Tingesbo, 2.8 seconds behind, but a quick start for Justus Strelo.
Sweden's 2 stars, Sebastian Samuelsson and Martin Ponstolna, down near the back of the field in 25th and 28th, each with 2 misses from the first shooting stage. It is a horrible thing to start with two misses in the first stage of a mass start. You can't get back into the dynamic amongst the leaders. They're going to stay back there for a while.
Well, we did mention that Justus Strelo was one of the last athletes to zero, and well, it seemingly served him well. Bib 18 first coming out of shooting one.
He might have gotten the only look at that really big gust of wind while still zeroing. He pushed his zero right up to the end of the period. But looking at the range now, it's dead calm like it was for everybody who zeroed, and that's why I think we have 16 of the 30 starters clean through stage number 1.
Yeah.
Strelo, no match for the skiers behind him. The weakest skier at the front of the field. He's so fast and clean on the shooting range that in this mass start he can find himself at the front, but he always gets past within about a kilometer of leaving the shooting range, and that's the same thing happening today as you see the faster skiers now moving up. Björn Sørlum setting the pace now in bib number 6. Sørlum a -6 skier on the season, so he's 6% faster than the average time of the field. It's pretty on par with Johannes Tingesbo, a percent back.
Jakov Fak up there as well in the mix in that bright green of Slovenia, making his 401st World Cup start today. The 37-year-old and 2015 world champion.
Yeah, Jakov Fak is a mutter. He's a guy that does well in tough conditions. He always has. His first world championship win in Korea was in extremely cold weather, and you could tell people were miserable. And Fak got his first win there, and he's right there at the back of the field, bib 12. He just wants to hang at the back and let the others set the pace and try to go clean on the day.
But it is Björn Sørlum with clean shooting leading the way. Johannes Tingesbo, though, breathing down his neck right behind him. It's been an interesting season for Björn Sørlum so far. Plenty of flower ceremonies, 4 flower ceremonies so far this season.
Eric Perot coming through the picture there, the red bib. He won the mass start in somewhat of a surprise fashion. But Perot he missed the very first shot of the day, so has to go perfect from here on out. But I have to say, it's a rough start for the French here on this final day of competition.
Yeah, a lot of eyes on Eric Perot, plenty of articles, press surrounding the 23-year-old after that mass start win. There was a film that's been produced about him as well that was showing in the town here on Friday night. There's a lot of hopes, and indeed with what comes with that pressure on the shoulders of the young Frenchman, particularly here on home snow. You can see Emilien Jacquelin dropping right back now.
Jacquelin trying to move up on the leaders. He was 22.5 seconds back at the last shooting stage. Improved that to 16.6 seconds back. Now we'll see where he is here. You can see Campbell Wright giving a little bit of space to the leaders. Lost 3 seconds there from the last time check.
Emilien Jacquelin through the time check, 19 seconds exactly down. So he has lost time over the last half a kilometre as well.
Looks like he put a little surge on after that missed shot and then paid for it a little bit. He's backing it off. Here's also bib 17. Christensen, Christensen, he had a miss as well. So the best athlete on the course with a miss is Jacqueline in 14th, but he trails by 19 seconds. It's a little less than the penalty loop.
And he's shown over the course of the start of this season, and of course well before that as well, that he's not afraid of a bit of a fight out there on the skis, on the tracks. If he needs to, he'll put the work in to try and close that gap, but he needs to make that move sooner rather than later with this front four opening up quite the gap.
Yeah, it looks like they used to have a patrol race or a team race where the four skiers of one team skied together against others and they took the best time. It looks like that at the front of this field. It's a Norwegian time trial at the front for this win so far with 3 shooting stages to go. Still a lot of time, but the Norwegians are setting the tone.
Yep. Johannes Tingersbo, Bjørn Sørlum tucked in behind Stella Holmberg, and then at the rear end of that train is Talia Bo. His first race of this World Cup stop in Annecy.
So Campbell Wright and Jakob Falk, the only two within 5 seconds of the Norwegian quartet. And it's quite a picture when you see the lead of a World Cup and it's already so dominant by the Norwegians. Skis look good. Nobody looks to have an advantage on the ski speed in this downhill.
Only once so far this season have we had an all-Norwegian podium. But they're pushing for it once again today after plenty of questions around the form on both sides of the Norwegian team, about the consistency, about the depth, whether they can pull off that kind of dominance that we've seen over the course of the last few years.
Well, through one stage, Tarja Boo in 4th place is going pretty much to script for him.
Yeah, podium today would serve him incredibly well as we go into the Christmas break. 2 tight turns before they come into the range. And the Norwegian quartet watched on by shooting coach Marze.
Martin Uldal sneaks into the 5th spot, leading the chase pack at 4 seconds back. Moving past the German Riethmüller and the American.
All lined up side by side, 5 Norwegian flags. Silence in the range as all the Norwegians get off to a good start. The Bjørn Sørlum shooting the fastest, 4 out of 4. He goes clean, Legride goes clean, Johannes Tingersbo clean, Talia Bo clean. Martin Uldal, there's a miss for Johannes Tingersbo. So once round the penalty loop for the yellow bib as his brother and Bjørn Sørlum, Stella Holmberg ski off into the distance.
Sørlum goes 10 for 10. That is the difference maker for him. He has had struggled a little bit with the shooting, but he's skiing very well, and perhaps that didn't really test him that last lap. Now Johannes Tingersbo making it very interesting as 22 seconds elapsed. He still hasn't come out of the penalty loop. How far back will he be? 25.3 is the time back in 9th place. So Johannes Tingersbo with the early miss, 9 for 10, but Sørlum, Legride, Tardiebo, and Uldal still holding the top 4 spots after shooting number 1.
Despite Johannes Tingersbo with that miss, we still have a Norwegian quartet leading the way. Martin Uldal replacing Johannes Tingersbo.
Then it's Strelo, the German, Falk from Slovenia, and then 2 more Germans, Navrath and Kuhn, all of the top 8 clean. Only 10 athletes clean of the 30 so far through 2 shooting stages.
Almost a perfect performance for the Norwegians.
The wind is not really a factor, but again, Ellen, it's wet out here. These athletes' race suits are soaked. So they come in and lay down from the prone position, and things are going to just be a little more squishy. The rifle's not going to fit quite as tight, and that's probably where we're seeing some of the inaccuracy in the prone shooting.
Yep, 2 misses from Eric Prelot as well. He came out of shooting 2 in 22nd.
And unfortunately for the partisan fans, the French are buried in the results right now. The top Frenchman, Emilien Jacquelin, with 2 misses at 19th place, and it only gets worse for the French from there. So the French crowd is going to have to, they're being forced to watch a Norwegian time trial at the front of the field.
Our 4 Norwegians, led by Vibjørn Sørlem, Sturla Holmlegreid in behind. Talia Boe up with this group as well, and as we've said on a number of occasions now, a podium today would be very, very good and very well needed for Talia Boe.
And I'm watching Tarja, his form looks good. You see Uldal struggling just a little bit to keep the pace. Tarja Boe slots into the third and takes that spot, not going to let that gap form. Uldal's looking right, looking a little bit fatigued on this climb, but Tarja Boe honestly looks like he can cover any move here.
Yeah, look over the shoulder for Vibjørn Sørlem as he goes to Sturla Holmlegreid and asks him to take up the charge on the front. Here's Johannes Tingersbo. Let's see how far he is behind his teammates. 21 seconds down in 7th.
Left the shooting range, 25 down at 9th. So he's moving up through the field, not making a ton of time, but still 8 seconds, that's significant. And Christian sandwiched by the two Germans, Navrath and Riedmüller. Stray low in there as well.
Podruchny, followed by Campbell Wright. Vitaly Manzin in there just behind the blue bib that he's desperate to take off the shoulders of Campbell Wright. There is Emilien Jacquelin, 54.1 seconds down.
Father Claude now has moved into the top spot for the French in 16th. 2 misses on the day.
Now we go back to the front of the course, and the Norwegian quartet splitting into pairs, and you can see the yellow bib chasing in the background. It is now 5 Norwegians at the head of this race.
And Tarja takes the lead of this race for the first time in a lead in a Biathlon World Cup this season, I think, is Tarja. Tarja looks very good on the skis.
Yep, they're taking it in turns to spread out the work amongst the quartet, and behind them Johannes Tingersbo is fighting hard to get back in contact. 16.5 seconds down, but well, he's eating time. It's 5.5 seconds. He's closed the gap.
I think Tarja Boe's skiing that we're seeing right now it shows you the relativity of fatigue in the course of a season. All these other athletes have been racing for 3 straight weeks, 3 to 4 races a week, and Tarja Boe gets a break for 2 days. And this is what he gets. This is what happens. He is on another level than everybody else. I was waiting to see if he would bounce back, and this is going to breathe a lot of confidence into Tarja Boe in the latter half of this race.
Yeah, because it looks like he's turning the pace up slightly as well. So Talia Boe pushing the pace at the front of a Norwegian quartet traveling together. Johannes Tingersbo not far off the back, just 16.5 seconds down as they come towards the range once again, shooting 3.
Uldal forcing the pace now, goes into a tuck skate. Maybe sensing he's got a little bit better skis. And Uldal's skis do look a tad better than Tarja Boe's. Down that long downhill, that's one thing that's great about this downhill. The person with the worst ski in that group is clearly Sturla Holmlegreid at the end, at the back of the group. And that could be just the flexible ski. Doesn't mean that they all have the same wax technicians, the same people working on their skis, but the choice of the ski that you choose on a wet day like today can make all the difference. Uldal's got a good pair of wet skis for sure.
Yep. And Martin Uldal opening up a slight gap on Talia Boe.
Yeah, look at the gap opening up. Uldal is getting carried down this hill on a great pair of skis.
Talia Boe and Vibjørn Sørlem side by side. Sturla Holmlegreid having to fight hard to make sure he doesn't lose contact with the 2 ahead of him, as it's Martin Uldal off the front, Johannes Tingersbo, who was second to him in the sprint, will start to make the descent around the corner under the bridge into the 3rd shooting stage.
Blue has erased 9 seconds. Johannes Tingersbo has erased 9 seconds from the leaders and moved from 9th of the last shooting stage up into 5th. Still trailing by 16 seconds though, but that's inside a penalty loop. Wind picking up just ever so slightly. When that wind graphic pops up on the left of the screen, you can see most of the wind is blowing right at the athlete, which shouldn't affect their hold too terribly much.
Johannes Tingesbo losing a little bit of time as they come into the range. He's pulling up the side of 4 Norwegians now. A miss for Leglide and for Uldal. Sula misses as well. Another miss for Martin Uldal. Talia Bo is clean. Johannes Tingesbo yet to take his first shot.
Talia Bo will take the lead, and comfortably, as everybody's in the penalty loop, some of them more than once. His brother is 4 for 5, and he misses!
So another miss for Johannes Tingesbo. But it's Talia Bo who, after traveling as a quartet with his 4 compatriots, will now have to work alone for this third lap.
16 seconds has gone by, and Surin finally comes out 17 back. So Talia Bo playing to the script of the man who's been sitting out all week long, and he's got a commanding lead, 17 seconds. That is a huge amount of time for him to relax and come in and shoot the way he wants to shoot in the final shooting stage.
Well, we said a podium would be a statement for Talia Bo. A win, well, that would be spectacular.
Fabian Claude going clean there, trying to claw his way back into the top 10 to give the French something to cheer about. He's going to do it. He'll pop in, I think, the 9th. There he is.
Eric Perrault, 5 for 5. Sebastian Stolder as well. A miss for Fillon Maillet. 2 misses for Jeremy Finello. 3 misses now from the man from just over the border in Geneva.
Uldal with the biggest loser in that last shooting stage is Uldal. 3 misses from the standing, and that just dashes his hopes. And you could tell he had great skis, but I think he was a little tired coming in. But here's the shooting of Talia Bo. Composed, experienced, maybe kind of licking his chops all week at the fact that everybody's getting tired, and he's fresh as a daisy.
Yeah, only 1 victory last season. That was in the sprint in Hochfilzen.
Saw the reaction there of Uldal. Of absolute abject disgust at the 3 misses that he had to ski off, and it has buried him into the 12th place now. 103 back.
And Talia Bo all alone.
4 athletes clean on the day so far. Talia Bo clean, he's at the front of the field. Jakob Falk clean in 5th. Johannes Kuhn of Germany with a great shooting performance so far. He's in 7th. And Vitaly Manzin clean in 16th. He's got Campbell right on his heels. They're a second apart. They're fighting for that blue bib for the U23.
Lap 4 out of 5. Could we be witnessing a first victory in over a year for Talia Bo? Missed out on starts in the sprint and the pursuit earlier on this weekend, but is leading this men's 15-kilometer mass start, so up to the 10-kilometer time check. A 16.1 second gap between Vebjørn Sørlum and Talia Bo, so that's closed by 9/10 of a second. But really, when you look at those times, it's Talia Bo who's holding very, very strong, and no one is really doing much to eat into that lead. Johannes Tingesbo through now in 4th, 33.3 seconds down. Loic Muller with 1 miss in 5th, 35.4 seconds down. Jakob Falk still clean on the day.
Johannes Tinges looked really good in that shot, but he's only erased 1.3 seconds or 1.4 seconds from his brother at the front of the field, so not doing the kind of damage he needs to on the skis with 2 penalties. Uldal now coming through in 11th. And Pedrucci, the 2019 Pursuit World Champion, having a good one today. He's got 1 miss on the day.
Yeah, Sebastian Samuelsson still struggling in the range. 3 misses on the day for him. 71 seconds down.
Talia Bo can taste the win now. Only teammates chasing him, Surin and Lagride, the closest chasers. And Johannes Tingesbo now moving back into 4th position.
That gap, though, at 10 kilometers, 16.1 seconds. It's now 15.5. It was 17 seconds when they left shooting. So Bjørn Sørlund is eating into the advantage that Talia Bo has. And it will all come down to this final shooting stage.
Sørlund has been on an absolute great ski form all season long. It's his shooting that is the issue. 76% standing for Bjørn Sørlund, but his skiing is at a new level for him.
And holding on to third place as Singstand, bib number 2, Stella Holmla Glide, 1 miss on the day. And the Norwegian, I'd argue, who's been the most consistent since the start of the season, despite the dominance over the last week and a half of Johannes Tingesbo.
Yeah, like that is four podiums in 6 races. That's pretty consistent. Skiing has never really wavered, but he's never spectacular on the skis. He just does everything well. Shoots fast, shoots clean, and skis pretty well.
Talia Bo, a focused athlete, very much in his zone.
Into his 16th season. He's got 13 wins, so a little less than 1 per year. And he's facing a late career victory in spectacular form on a wet, miserable day.
Yeah, it was always going to be about who could manage the conditions and the mentality of that the best. And, well, you could argue that it's no surprise that it's the man who's been rested for the last 3 days who's, as things stand, handling it the best.
Yeah, being rested the first week in Kontiolahti is probably not as big of an advantage, but when you've got 3 weeks of racing and this is a good day, especially on a wet day like this where everybody's that's been racing is even just a little bit more bummed at the weather.
Yeah.
Talia Bo is just a little more psyched because he gets to start.
And also having the mental relief as well of knowing that he was in the top 25, so he'd already qualified for this race, rather than the other positions that maybe a bit more treacherous within this Norwegian team, a little bit less consistent in terms of who's occupying them.
Well, it's no secret what is on the line for Talia Bo today. Going into the Christmas break, we all knew it. The Norwegian media knows it. The athletes on the IBU Cup know it. So this is a question: if he can get past this shooting stage, and even with a single miss, I think we'll see him back on the World Cup when we reconvene in Oberhof.
Well, here we go. Talia Bo into the 4th and final shooting stage, shooting for his first win on an IBU World Cup for over a year now.
Nice hold. Took a long time to set up and took a lot of air. Oh!
And a miss for Talia Bo. So once around the 150-meter penalty loop, but crucially, Bjørn Sørlund has dropped 2, Stella Holmla Glide has dropped 1.
And it might be just enough. And
Johannes Tingesbo has dropped 1 as well. So for his first win in over a year on the IBU World Cup, Talia Bo, after being rested for 2 days, has done it. He skis out the penalty loop as his younger brother goes in for 1 lap.
Huge swing of events in favor of Talia Bo. I thought that he might have given it away there, but a 19 for 20 looks like he's going to do it. And Danilo Rietmüller, who came flying back in the pursuit yesterday, showing great form, he goes clean in the final stage to move Germany into the 2nd spot, and he's comfortably there, 11 seconds back.
That is an incredible performance for Danilo Rietmüller, whose personal best performance came in the mass start in Kontiolahti. He was 4th. It was his first flower ceremony, and is in a very, very good position indeed to be on the podium here for the first time in Annecy.
Rietmüller had the 2nd fastest last lap of yesterday's pursuit. It's 11 seconds to Talia Bo. This is not over. Danilo Rietmüller has never won a World Cup. He's 19 for 20 today, and he is on some killer form. Talia Bo, if he wants to get this win, he's got to go. What do you think of that mass start so far?
Well, this is a brilliant example of why we love this event and why it's so different as well from the majority of what we see at each stop over the course of a season. So a reminder of the times as they left shooting for Talia Bo leading Danilo Rietmuller, who you can see ski into picture now. 1 miss on the day for each of these two athletes. 11 seconds the gap. Sturla Holmler-Glide 17 seconds back in the final podium position at the moment, wearing bib number 2. 2 misses on the day. In fourth, Johannes Tingersbo, the yellow bib. 3 misses for Bjorn Sturlum, also has 3 misses, as does Martin Uldal. So in the top 6 as things stand, 5 Norwegians and 1 German, and 1 very hungry Talia Bo, who is now skiing for the first win in over a year.
It'll be the 14th of his career, his 4th mass start to win if he can hold off everybody that's challenging him. It's only a 3-kilometer loop. And I think that if Rietmuller could catch him, he would be closing in on him already.
Well, here we come towards the 13-kilometer time check. This is our penultimate time check that we'll get before the finish line. The next will be 13.5 kilometers. Talia Bo. What is the advantage on Danilo Rietmuller? He's across the line, 13.2 seconds, so the gap is opening. It was 11 seconds when they left shooting, and Danilo Rietmuller has lost 2.2 seconds on Talia Bo.
And don't look back, Danilo Rietmuller, because you've got a freight train of JT Boo and Sturla Holmler-Glide trying to take your first podium away from you.
A look over the shoulder there from Johannes Tingersbo. Martin Uldal, well, he's not far behind them, and that's potentially who Johannes Tingersbo is keeping an eye out for.
Rietmuller was 4th in this opening event in Kontiolahti, and he's trying to hang on to his first career Biathlon World Cup podium, but he has not got the work cut out for him either.
Well, we have to say that, well, for the last, particularly through Hochfilzen and here into Annecy, the talk has been out all about the German women, but we have 3 German men in the top 10. Johannes Kuhn occupying berth number 8, Philip Navrath in 7th. Kuhn shooting clean on the day. And, well, there is a brilliant shot of the head of the course. Talia Bo coming up to 13.5 kilometers. Just 1.5 kilometers to go for what will be an incredible victory, and what a turnaround for the elder of the 2 Bo brothers. Following him, Danilo Rietmuller. The gap was 13.2 seconds at 13 kilometers. Has he been able to close it over the course of the last 0.5 kilometer? He has, but it's not by much.
Come on, Danilo, hang on. You're almost there.
Johannes Tingersbo in pursuit with Sturla Holmler-Glide in tow.
Got to feel for Danilo Rietmuller. He's got just the narrowest of margins. He's just got to grit his teeth and hang on here.
And you can see just how much further the German coach ran alongside Danilo Rietmuller to give him that extra boost. He needs everything that he can take from the support in the crowd, from those alongside the course. And you can see it's fairly equidistant on when you look from above. It's a brilliant shot there as Johannes Tingersbo pulling away from Sturla Holmler-Glide now.
Well, the German ski technicians are praying that what they did worked, because it's mostly downhill. Rietmuller's got about 6-7 seconds on the great Johannes Tingersbo, and it's going to come down to the work that those technicians did that largely is going to determine whether or not Danilo Rietmuller gets on his first podium.
Yep. Danilo Rietmuller fighting for a maiden podium, while Talia Bo skiing to ensure that he has a place on the Norwegian team come the turn of the year.
Rietmuller's holding tough. Johannes is coming. Sturla can't match Johannes Tingersbo. I think Rietmuller is pretty safe, at least from this man, Sturla Holmler-Glide, to hang on to the finish and the podium. You can see the German coaches and staff are just nervous for Danilo.
Well, it would cap off with, of course, the women's race to go, which Franziska Ploys will lead out. It would cap off another excellent week for the German team as we prepare to head to Germany in January. And you can see we won't have another time check before the finish, but just visually that gap is holding, crucially, between Johannes Tingersbo and Danilo Liedtmüller. One final push now, and you can see how much it means to not just Talia Bo, but the whole of the Norwegian team. It's the German team who are chasing the coaches, because Danilo Liedtmüller will have his maiden podium, but the headlines will be about Talia Bo, a first victory in over a year. After being rested in the sprint and the pursuit, Talia Bo takes top spot here, 19 out of 20. And you can see who's first to celebrate with him. His younger brother, Johannes Tingesbo, celebrating almost as hard as Talia Bo was. He points at his older brother. The pride is there. They speak over and over again about how important that family connection is for keeping both of them going in this sport and keeping both of them performing at top level, and that is what Talia Bo has done today, as Fabien Claude on his 30th birthday over the line just inside the top 10. 3 misses on the day as well for Sebastian Samuelsson. Eric Perrault shrugs his shoulders, blows a kiss to the crowd as he adjusts the blue bib, the red bib even, which will be handed over. But what a performance for Talia Bo.
It's really hard to capture what the Norwegian dynamic must be like on this men's team. They're such a superstar team, and to have a guy basically come from the bench and win today, a 36-year-old bench warmer, it's an interesting dynamic because they all are good teammates, but they all have to beat each other for these spots, and this is a huge statement by Talia Bo.
It's a huge statement. We spoke through the early stages of the race at just how important a result would be, a statement win, potentially, well, a statement podium, we said at the time, and well, he's blown everyone out of the water today. The rain fell in Annecy, and Talia Bo, all those around him sunk. He swam, and what a performance from the Norwegian.
This mass start is just such a Yahtzee game. You don't know what you're going to get. You're rolling the dice, and you just, the dynamics matter of the last 3 weeks really figure into the story of this race, and that's what makes these long periods of racing and multiple races a week so interesting, is like the dynamic of Talia Bo coming in rested and winning.
And at every opportunity he's given, Talia Bo speaking and talking directly down the barrel of the cameraman, and you know that post-race interview is going to be something very special. Vetle Sjåstad Christensen, 6 misses on the day, so while one Norwegian comes to prove his worth and his position on the World Cup, Vetle Sjåstad Christensen would have needed and wanted a lot more than that. So much talk around the youngsters in the IBU Cup, the young Norwegians who are all fighting for an opportunity. And the fact that Martin Oldal has grasped a victory, a maiden victory for him this week. Talia Bo has a win. Johannes Tingesbo had his 88th. There is really a lot of pressure to perform in that Norwegian team, and I'm sure some would argue more than ever on both sides with the men and the women.
Yeah, again, the Norwegians are 5 out of the top 6, but Germany gets a feel-good silver medal with Riedtmüller in his 16th start, getting his first ever career podium. The Norwegians and the Germans really dominated. Top 8 are either Norwegian or German. It's Norway, Germany, Norway, then Germany, and Fabien Claude. A little bit of a bummer for the French to not get their day on the front of the podium, but what a host this venue has been.
Well, we still have plenty more action to come, and another opportunity for the French women to stand atop the podium again. Of course, back here in 2017, it was Martin Fourcade who shot perfectly on the day to win the mass start, and Justine Bressard-Boucher did so that year as well. She's already stood on the podium as Martin Ponsaloma, well, he continues to have a really torrid time on the World Cup this season. 10 misses today, 4 minutes, 21.9 seconds. He's finished behind our leaders. And I don't think anyone will be looking forward to the Christmas break more than Martin Ponsaloma.
I think in the situation of Martin Ponsaloma, every biathlete has been in that situation at some point in their career. He just has to go home and realize the sport isn't as hard as perhaps he's making it in his mind. It's about the only thing I can think he needs to work for. Like, he doesn't need to work any harder. He just needs to try to maybe enjoy the sport a little bit again.
So it won't be a French podium in the men's race today. The top finisher, Fabien Claude, on his 30th birthday, 3 misses, coming across the line in 10th. Eric Perrault just outside the top 10, 2 misses for bib number 4, finishing 11th. But as we mentioned, another race to come. But plenty of the German crowd who've made the trip over, celebrating the performance of Danilo Liedtmüller, a maiden podium coming into this season, well, in the form of his life. And he'll be looking to carry that as we head to Germany in the new year.
2 big World Cups coming up, and this is just the kind of advertisement that the German Ski Federation needs going into Oberhof and Ruhpolding. A German male on the podium in Danilo Liedtmüller.
Well, confirmation of the results. Taliabo just missing once his final standing shoot, but he'd done enough, and with those around him also faltering, coming across the line, victorious here in Annecy. His first victory in over a year. Danilo Liedtmüller with his first ever podium. Johannes Tingersbo, well, celebrating that 3rd place almost as much as a win as he crossed the line to see that Talier had taken top spot. It's then 3 Norwegians that follow in the flower ceremony. Stella Holmlaglide, 2 misses on the day, finishing 4th. Martin Oldal, 5th, 3 misses, also 3 misses for Bjorn Sørlum, rounding out the flower ceremony in 6th. And we can see how that has affected the World Cup total score, and no changes at the top. Johannes Tingersbo will carry the yellow bib into the new year. Stella Holmlaglide just off the podium today, but continuing his consistency. Only 1 race still that he hasn't finished in the top 10, only once not in the flower ceremony. Campbell Wright will keep his grasp on the blue bib. That now a under-23 competition, despite dropping down to 16th in the overall standings. Climbing 7 though, Danilo Liedtmüller up to 14th, going to that maiden podium today. Well, the rain has subsided slightly. Just a light drizzle now, as plenty of the ponchos have been stripped off and replaced with the colourful hats that we've been used to seeing over the course of the last 3 days.
Tarja, congratulations. Welcome back on the podium. How did it feel today to cross the finish line in first again?
Was one of my best victories for sure. It's been a difficult December, and also I was set out of the team here for the sprint, so it was all in today. And this is also an important race for the world champs and everything, so now I'm qualified and it's a great feeling.
Who was happier at the finish line, you or Johannes?
I think he was quite happy for me, you know, he is winning a lot and he see I have had some struggles, so yeah, you know, blood is thicker, and yeah, I think he likes when his brother is happy and do good races.
You did an amazing job, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's exactly what we talk about, isn't it? As Tarja Bo gives a brilliant interview talking about blood being thicker than water. Danilo Rietmüller, though, shooting up to the top of the mass start table with 130 points. That will see him into the red bib. What a place to be for Danilo Rietmüller.
Yeah, just an amazing turn of events. And this is what's great about the sport of biathlon, is you think you're going to see what you think you're going to see, and then you show up, and this happens. Tarja Bo qualifies for the World Championships, the hardest team in the world to make, and he wins today, punching his ticket to the World Championships after a total a question mark opening month. And that's why you have to wait, and you have to wait till all the shots are down and everybody crosses the finish line before you cast your judgment. Now, Tarja Bo, who would have thought coming into today that we'd be saying he's going to the World Championships? And who would have thought that this man, Danilo Rietmüller, would be wearing a red bib? It's a great day of biathlon in Le Grand Bornand. Yeah, a great day of biathlon. A real excellent way to kick off our final day of action here in Annecy. And today that Danilo Rietmüller will remember forever. He showed some excellent signs yesterday in pursuit, and no sign of any tired legs on Danilo Rietmüller today. His maiden podium, and he will be stood on the second spot. A first silver medal. As preparations underway just in front of us for the flower ceremony on the podium. The crowd have been absolutely excellent over the course of the last 3 days. I say last 3 days, it's more like 4, because they were out here in their masses for training as well. Those grandstands were packed out, and they celebrated every time a French athlete went through the start-finish line just on training, and it's been so great to see and hear and experience it all. And I'm sure those athletes have been able to really take advantage of the noise of the crowd here at Le Grand Bornand will agree. Yeah, an absolutely impressive crowd. Where I come from in northern Minnesota, it's famous for cold weather, and we have a saying that there's no such thing as bad weather, there's bad clothing. And the French are here out in force. It is a miserable day by anybody's standards. It's pouring rain, and everybody's just as loud as they were yesterday when it was bright sunshine in winter. But they were treated to a very exciting mass start. Yeah, what we can say though is unfortunately the rain is starting to pour down once again right in front of us. As we look back at some of the race and shooting of Martin Ellard wearing bib number 10 today, starting fifth or finishing 5th, and well, he'll take a lot of learnings, I think, would be the main thing for him from this race weekend. A victory in the sprint, struggling in the pursuit, flower ceremony again here in the mass start. And I think what we learned from Martin Ellard and this man, Danilo Rietmüller, is that even though there's a pecking order in this sport, and there's an expectation of who's going to win, who's going to do what, today exhibits just, or the whole week exhibits just how topsy-turvy the sport can be, and that you have to just take the good days with the bad. And look at Martin Ellard. 2 days ago, he was absolutely thrilled. He won his first ever World Cup. Struggles today, and Tarja Bo was sitting on the sidelines watching Ellard take that win and wondering if his career is coming to an end. And just like that, look at the reaction. He is back, baby. He is very much back. And we are starting to see the best of Danilo Rietmüller as well. at just 25 years of age. Didn't really, he kind of burst onto the scene late last season. And just getting it done. His fitness is coming around, and he missed a shot in the second stage and kind of fell out of contention. But then all of a sudden, when the fulcrum was about to tip, there he was. He was in the thick of it, and he delivered. And that is a huge step for any biathlete to step to the next level of their career. And Danilo's wearing a red bib. That is huge.
It is huge, and he now becomes a name that we'll be watching out for as more than just someone to fill a spot in the flower ceremony. He's a genuine contender, and 3 Germans in the top 8. And the only other nation represented is the Norwegians. So a great day as a whole for the Germans here in Annecy.
And their best chance is yet to come.
Yep, absolutely. Those who have made the trip over to one of the easternmost regions of France will certainly be already celebrating, but in the knowledge that Franziska Preuss will be leading the way in the women's mass start in just over an hour's time. This is a feeling and an experience that Talia Bo hasn't had in a long time, leading out the podium and flower ceremony. Penultimate of the weekend here at Le Grand Bonnard.
You were pushing like hell, huh? The last downhill.
I was very scared because your brother comes from
I
back.
know. I knew
He's
that
really fast.
he would take this on du just att pusha med.
Ja, men tänkte lite där, så jag skulle göra det.
Jag hade kontroll, men det går fort på slutet.
Well, really interesting to hear the conversation there between Danilo Liedtmüller and Talia Bo. Talia Bo asking him if he was really pushing on the last downhill. And Liedtmüller replying, well, I was quite scared because your brother was behind me and he's a bit quick. But Talia Bo leading out the flower ceremony for the first time in over a year. The last victory was in Hochfilzen in the sprint at the start of December. 2023.
So, the presenters for this award ceremony will be representing IBU, Ekaterina Yakovska, IBU Executive Board Member, Vincent McConnell, IOC's Board Director, representing Organizing Committee, Ellen Fox, Deputy Mayor of the Colorado and Member of Organizing Committee, Daniel Sages, President of French Ski Federation.
So the IBU, the Organising Committee, French Skiing Federation and the IOC all represented in our medal and prize presenters. Johannes Tingersbo, third today, but you can tell for him that feels like a victory. His brother Talia Bo standing atop the podium. And I don't think we've seen Johannes Tingers celebrate to that extent for any of his victories this season in the same manner that he did for his older brother. And you can tell just how much it means to the 25-year-old. His personal best before today, also in the mass start, 4th in Kontiolahti. And he makes another big step up, just his 4th now top 10 finish.
This is a game changer for Danilo Rignolo, changing his career, changing the trajectory of his career, and probably the way he sees himself within the biathlon structure.
A brilliant first podium for Danilo Rignolo, holding off Johannes Tingesbø, one of the greatest to ever do it, from behind. The first time that Talierbo has heard his name read out as the winner of a World Cup race in over a year. A statement victory after 2 days of being rested. And he will be celebrating into the Christmas break now, securing his spot at the World Championships in a team where the experienced veterans in this group are having to look over their shoulders at the youngsters who are making their way up through the IBU Cup. But him and his younger brother securing their spaces as we head to Lenzerheide for the World Cup, or the World Championships in February.
I think the special thing about this podium is the context for both the man on the top and the man in the second spot, and even the man in the third spot. His brother has redeemed himself and solidified his spot on the Norwegian team.
A shot that we haven't seen in a long while as well. Johannes Tingesbø and Talierbo sharing a podium with Talierbo on the top spot. Sturla Holmlund not a podium today, but he continues his very good form this season, bowing down to the elder of the Bow brothers. Well, an impressive start to his career as well on the World Cup. His first victory within 5 starts on the World Cup circuit. This his 7th, and still making yet another flower ceremony. Martin Uldal more than one to watch, and he will have learned some very valuable lessons over the course of the last 3 days. Of Bjorn Sørlund also takes a bow to Talierbo.
And the big picture here is Norway of the past and Norway of the future.
Yeah, it really is. The Bjorn Sørlund and Martin Uldal alongside 3 of the more experienced names. Sturla Holmlund though, still only 27 years old. Well, just one more race to go here in Annecy, Le Grand Bonnard. We will be back at 2:45 for the women's mass start. And if our earlier racing today is anything to go by, we will be in for a treat. Talierbo victorious for the first time in over a year, solidifying his spot on the Norwegian World Cup team.